Okay, why don't you see to me?
This is our interview with Bobby Ferry. I was new to this band for Guides from the Misguided, immediately went through their back catalog. In fact, my DJ on Spotify this week told me last night as we were running that I am in the top 5% of 16 listeners.
Wow.
So there's plenty of room on this bandwagon. Join us for Guides of the Misguided. It is a fantastic album. So let's dive in and learn a little more from Bobby. So I want to say it's only March, and I've already found two albums on my best of the year list, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And ironically, both of you had goat shirts, and I had to get both. So I don't know what the deal was.
Appreciate that too.
Yeah.
I know. I looked at it and I was like, God damn it, it's a goat.
Yeah.
I'm in. So way back at the beginning, when you were originally called 15, what led to that name? Were there other names or numbers in consideration?
Um, Again, you're talking about teenagers, literally teenagers, like dumb kids. So, um, there was a pro skateboarder named Mark Gonzalez. He's still very prevalent, has his own shoe on Adidas and things like that. He used to write Team 15 on his boards in paint pen, and we used to hang around him a lot in the 80s. A couple of us did, and he was our idol. And so when we started a band, late teens, 19, we were called Team 15. And then we're like, team, that's kind of lame. Let's just be called 15. And then we found out via this record store in Huntington Beach, California, we brought in our 7-inch, says 15 on it. And I forget the guy that works there, probably some punk rock legend, was like, kids, there's already a band named 15. Rename yourselves and bring it back, and I'll buy your 7-inch from you. And that's literally it. And so we're like, we're 16, and it's literally that kind of dumb of an answer of, there's no deeper numerology into us or anything like that. It's just the ignorance of youth.
Well, you could have done a lot worse. There's a lot worse you could have done.
We could have.
Yeah. And you'd be stuck with it for life, right?
Well, actually, we are stuck with it, and we didn't do super great. It's a name that's like impossible to Google and things like that.
So if you could travel back in time and talk to your younger self from those early time periods, what advice would you give yourself musically, personally, or otherwise?
um, that's a tough one because I'm really not a nostalgia person. I always kind of believe like what happened is why we're here, and like all roads lead here. Um, I don't know. I don't think I would tell myself anything because there's lots of mistakes, there's lots of tragedy, there's lots of there's lots of unwise things that went down. Um, Other than, buying a bunch of stock, uh, or Misfits first pressings, I don't think I'd tell myself
Yeah, yeah.
anything. To be bluntly honest with you, it's like, at least I got the stories of all those failures, and like I said, life, death, all kinds of bullshit. So no, but if it was my own kid, yeah, I would tell him, all the basics. Stay employed, don't do drugs,
Yeah.
stay away from girls who are into astrology.
Oh,
Hey, I wanted to ask you, so in an old interview, Chris Giroux said there have been 14 dudes in this band and not one has been stable mentally or chemically. Do you think that's fair or is that a little too harsh?
That's probably accurate. uh, I mean, aside from like this, that he said that a long time ago, because he said that more than 10 years ago.
yeah.
Okay.
This lineup here has been together for like a decade, which is longer than some bands. But,
Yeah.
in our 20s and into our, early 30s, we were collectively a bunch of shitheads. I mean, there's no way around it. We were nice enough guys. We were just literally on drugs and just shitheads. You know, if we weren't on hard drugs, we were drinking and smoking too much. You know, and it definitely affected the creative progress and also the ability to support yourself and then maybe put more into the band itself. But again, we are where we are, you know, and I couldn't. It's like, you know, you almost want to romanticize the struggle. But yeah, I mean, he's probably right. You know, a bunch of kids are either fucking alcoholics, drug addicts,
Yeah.
bipolar, you know, you name it. Uh, it's probably an accurate statement as of 10 years ago, but now we're the same four dudes for a decade, you know, who are paying the rent and raising our kids and doing all the normal shit. So, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Taking our pills, taking our happy
Yeah,
pill,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know.
92 supplements.
Mm.
So you had handled both vocals and guitar for your other project, Maximilian. Did that kind of prepare you to kind of take the reins? And was it challenging kind of to take on both roles, or did it feel like a natural transition?
So a long time ago, literally almost in the 90s or early 2000s, um, I left the band. I got a job here in San Diego, and the band was based out of Los Angeles. And I was commuting for a while, but and then I had a kid, and so I had this job and a kid. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not really going to be in 16 anymore. So I did start that band, Maximilian, kind of in the empty space in my life because I just kept writing. I've always been writing. No, I didn't really. I mean, I only played live twice, so that really had no bearing on the me. The me that sings and plays guitar now is, you know, the records that we've made since 2009. 2009, you know, and beyond there, I was singing backup and writing some vocals. But really, about 5 years ago on the Dream Squasher album, I started doing way more. I think I sang 3 or 4 songs lead on that and then wrote some vocals, and I was already singing backup. And then for Into Dust, I just did everything. And the last one, the Guides with Misguided, I just did everything. Now, I mean, I to be honest with you, I just didn't think of it. I just kind of have like a old skateboarders ethic of like I'm gonna try it and I'm gonna slam and then I'm gonna just keep trying it until I can either do it or just physically can't do it because you know I just can't. Like I've broken myself. So
Yeah.
I feel it's like kind of all or nothing. But as far as you know, I mean, what's the saying? You know, you have your whole life to write your first record, and then you got like a few months to write the others. You know, if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
really want to do it. So I just never stopped really writing and you know creating. It's pretty easy. Vocals. I mean, it's not. It's actually really hard, but as far as the fear factor or anything like that, no. It's just I just kind of hopefully I rose to the occasion and played the position correctly if we're using sports metaphors.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about lyrics? Did you always, I mean, you took over lyrics when Giroux left. Did that come naturally or was that
Yeah,
different for you?
I'm always I'm kind of a big literary head, you know, from like, you know, being like a teenager reading Hunter S. Thompson and Charles Bukowski
Oh
and
yeah.
Kurt Vonnegut and James Joyce and just being, you know, all that kind of nerd. And I've always kind of been a poetry nerd. I've gone to the, you know, in high school, I used to go see the poetry readings at McCabe's Guitar Shop in LA, and that was like Exene, Jim Carroll, Henry Rollins, you know, Hubert Selby, and even like I was like 16 years old then, hanging out there. So like I was, you know, I've always been that kind of head, you know, always into metal and punk rock, and then always into the kind of associated you know, Nick Cave and all of that, so you know, poetry, so to speak, or
Yeah, yeah.
the punk rock writers. So it's not. I don't have to dig deep for inspiration because you know all the people I mentioned, and then everything that is today is providing so much.
Yeah.
like I agree with you, what you were saying. This lineup, since 2016, with the release of the lifespan of a month, every year or two, you guys are putting out quality releases, whether it be LP, EP, split. I definitely feel like you guys are hitting your stride. Would you say that the process of releasing music at regular intervals solidified the band's identity and creative direction over time?
I mean, hopefully it's all a work in progress. But again, I'm just like, we're going to push forward because I'm not looking back. Like, I get no joy in sitting back and going, well, that's enough.
Yeah.
Like the only joy that I get is writing new stuff, discussing it into existence with the band, getting everyone's either buy-in, and that's and that's not saying the songs even come from me. The vocals come from me. So like just being around the whole creative osmosis. Hopefully, I feel like we're hitting like a really good productivity, and things are coming to fruition out of the speakers easier now. So, but that's just, you can't knock us for lack of trying or lack of enthusiasm. So I'm just gonna push forward with trying and enthusiasm, and then like I said, old skateboarder thing is, I'm either gonna break my neck or just I just can't. You just can't do it. So
I just saw the Decibel magazine thing today. That's awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, we're getting quite the string of luck here.
Yeah. It's good. I love the title Guides for the Misguided. Is that something that's directed towards your personality or the band as a whole?
Yeah, it's a little bit of dark humor in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's great.
I think there's a lot of I mean, we even had a song, Gallows Humor. I just think that if you can't, like, first of all, like I always say, like, this is a band. It's not that serious. It's not a cure for cancer. Like, I mean, art's very serious and all of that, but again, there has to be a smile and a nod once in a while. The title came from, lists of either lyric ideas or song title ideas that I have, and then I share those with the band, the old Google Doc. So we share a Google Doc, and that was just like kind of noted and highlighted by everyone that was a cool phrase, Guides to the Misguided. And then I was walking around San Francisco on just like 3 days. Went there for my birthday, and then I found a book, a guide for the misguided,
Oh, look at
and
that.
it's from. Geez, I don't even know. I should be totally prepared, but I am not a prepared person, and this ain't school, so I don't give a shit. Uh, but this book is from uh, geez, 1930 something. Written by at the time a prosecutor for in Chicago, I believe. Um, and it's basically kind of an indictment on fundamentalist religion, and how he realized that, uh, from his anecdotal evidence, that the more fundamentally religious you were, the more apt you were for criminal behavior.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was hilarious because, it's just in this era of, mega churches and all of the just disgustingness of that, it's just another form of criminality. And like I didn't mean for the record to turn into an atheist manifesto, but it is what it is, and that's kind of how I found it. It was just an accident, uh you know but that's the story of the title. Story of the title is, I thought of the title, and then I found the book, and then the book just reaffirmed my confirmation bias about religion. So here we are.
Yeah, I thought it be should shelved right next to Beetlejuice's, handbook for the recently deceased.
I actually
No, but I
want one of
mean,
those books too, but I think they're blank. But
Ah.
you can
yeah.
buy the book.
Yeah, I mean, a good indicator, if if you ever want to make a bad guy in a show really bad, have him start quoting the Bible. Like
Yeah.
Remember Cape Fear?
Yeah.
Where De
Yeah.
Niro's walking around talking revelations and shit. I mean,
Yeah.
that's creepy.
Pulp
That's when
Fiction.
you're like, all right, I'm crossing the street, like
Oh, you about to die if someone's quoting the Bible.
that's right.
You about to
That's right.
die.
That's beyond creepy. Yeah. Yeah.
So I love how striking that your cover art has always been over the years. So I'm looking at this cover and I'm thinking, is this a dung beetle turning a
Yeah.
head? And if so,
Yeah.
what does that say about our human condition?
Well, I mean, for one, it's the myth of Sisyphus, the rolling the stone up the hill, but it's just a dung beetle moving a human head up the apocalypse. I think it's kind of a never say die thing, but it's like nature prevails no matter what. And I think it ties into the trilogy of the other records of the cordyceps mushrooms kind of taking over the dead bird carcass or the moth. So, that is all. We've been very fortunate to work with excellent artists and have them want to work with us. And so Merrill is one that he sought us out and asked us, and we're down. So, I sent him the songs at the end of the process and tell me what it makes you feel, and that's what he gave us.
Basically, we're all pieces of shit at the end. I think that's where
That's funny.
I didn't say that out loud, but
Well, I mean, a lot of your lyrics are about cults or addiction or evil of religion. What do you think is the worst of the worst, of those, I guess those three things or the things that you write lyrics about?
I mean, if you want to talk body count, I'm sure it's religion.
Yeah.
Like, just I'm just fascinated. I'm no different than the teenage true crime fan. I just love the crime that's attached to religion because of the deep hypocrisy of it all, and that just makes it even more evil. Uh, and even more scary. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
like I said, but it's probably nothing different than you know, some teenager's YouTube channel about true crime. I was just one of those kids, and now I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
It's like normal, like normal, like kids don't like. I remember I bought uh, what was the AK Press or something. I used to buy all those books, those research books of like angry women was one. It's like all these interviews with angry women, and then there was a Charles Manson one, a Charles Manson Superstar. Like all the you used to get at like the punk rock bookstore. I think it was AK Press, and I remember my parents going, "Why do you have all these books on Charles Manson?" The Charles Manson Superstar with the Joe Coleman cover, who later did the Guns N' Roses, inside
Oh yeah.
of Appetite for Destruction. And I was just like, I don't know, but I never. They were like, I hope you grow out of it, and then here I am, 50, and I'm definitely not grown out of that shit.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine years ago that was also into true crime as much as we are. And he made the best statement. He said something about, well, we should talk about the moms because that's why we're all here. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. It's always the mom. The mom is the reason why the serial killers turn to,
Yeah, it's
that was like a
Freudian, man.
eureka for
If
me.
your mom's
Yeah.
not nice to you, you're doomed.
The moms
You are
create the
doomed.
Dahmers. It's like
Yeah,
inevitable. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
mm,
So I had couple track specific questions. I noticed like your titles, like Hat on a Bed, Fire and Brimstone Incorporated, don't directly link to the lyrics necessarily. Are they working titles that stuck, or is there a different method to your titling process?
I'm not a fan of just the chorus being I think there's more to it. And it was all kind of like what sums it up. And so for Hat on a Bed, the whole theme of the lyrics is superstition. And then Hat on the Bed is just a famous, hilarious superstition. It's a direct reference from the movie Drugstore Cowboy with Matt Dillon and Kelly Lynch. I'm a huge fan of that movie. Of course, the junkie angle, but also the Gus Van Sant camera work, and I mean, it's one of Matt Dillon's just greatest performances. And we were thinking of like we were like, okay, it's called Superstition. That's kind of a whatever title. And plus, Stevie Wonder already took that and owns it. So why would I call a song
Yeah.
Superstition? And then drummer Dion, he was like hat on a bed, and we're like, yeah. And then we all had to stop and watch the YouTube video of the hat on the bed scene, where he gives that speech of "you just fucked us all, and I'm out of here. You put a hat on the bed, and
Yeah.
you just left me with a corpse." And it's just like, and we're like, okay, hat on the bed, and those who get it will get it, and
Well, I
so.
got it immediately from Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I haven't watched Yellowstone, but if they're
Um,
having hats on beds, then I probably should
yeah.
like that show.
It's that kind of shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they immediately they're in, the cowboy bunkhouse and somebody throws his hat on the bed and they're all like, "Oh my God," It's kind of like
Right.
that same scene.
Yeah.
And of course the guy who did it ends up dying, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not putting. I just play it safe.
Mm.
Uh, so I like the song seems to narrate through the cycle of like addiction and shifting to a religious fervor. I like particularly the repeated lines of never again and more of the same. Do you think addicts can ever move beyond their addictions without finding another crutch?
I I think it's the kind of personality that you let something take over. You know, I mean, I haven't used drugs in a very long time, but it don't mean I don't think of it. I mean, like it's like we're talking like 15 years or something. And it's like it's still there. The monkey is still there. Even though it's literally been like more time not than I was using, so and maybe it manifests in different ways now, but I would say like 100 years ago, that kind of like obsessive behavior would probably be a good plus in your personality for survival, and now it's just a thing for overconsumption in the modern world of availability and no struggle, and if you want something, it's here. So the free dopamine, yeah, I think the answer is no. The answer is just no. I could have just said no, but
For me, it
personally,
was
no.
always for me, it was always as long as I never hang out with so and so again, I'll be fine. It's certain people that are like, what are you talking
I don't
about?
know, man. You're
What are you
only that
talking
means
about, clean and sober? This isn't the
that
Marchman I know. What the fuck's wrong? 10 minutes and I'd probably be right back to 1987. I
that
don't know.
we're always one good connect away from
Hmm,
fucking it all up, you know. So
that's what it
like,
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
They know
the
just which buttons to push, like,
yeah. First one's free, man. First one's
yeah.
free.
Yeah, that's dark stuff. Yeah, totally.
I definitely love Blood Atonement Blues. What a gritty
Yeah.
song. It's just such a grinder. When looking at figures like Avril LeBaron and Charles Manson, do you think LeBaron was more effective in making abuse and mind control the new normal, kind of using that religious fear, or did Manson's approach of like charm first, acceptance, free love prove more insidious? Which method do you think would be more dangerous?
Oh, it's clearly the organized religion one. I mean, Irvin LeBaron was just a more successful killer than Manson, and a scarier. He got a bunch of people to do it for him, and he did it himself too. And he had it, you know, I think Charles Manson was just a lunatic pimp that timed things perfectly, in the zeitgeist, and being where he was at the time, for his own, for his own criminal behavior. But Errol LeBaron had good and evil and forever, and polygamy and all of this shit on his side. Not to mention the tax breaks. So like
Mhm.
that's like Errol LeBaron is just a terrifying figure. I mean, he died in Supermax. Um, And the fact that nobody even knows about it, the fact there's not a goddamn movie on it, that like Woody Harrelson's not playing, is surprising.
Yeah,
It's totally
totally. Yeah.
surprising me. Like somebody just make that movie like No Country for Old Men, make it scary and quiet, and just tell the real story of what that dude and his family and his lunatics did to each other and to other people. And I think he got a winner. So
So the very beginning of that song, I was like, at first I was like, why are they doing Total Eclipse of the Heart the first time I listened through it? Was that intentionally a nod to that song, or is it just a little similar that I'm not picking up on?
I think it's less like so the being in a band, you edit each other, but you also give each other feedback in real time. Alex wrote the music to the song, and the first solo was the most fucking triumphant, flag waving thing I've ever heard. And we automatically edited that out. And then he made separate, different takes. And that's the solo he landed on, and that everybody else kind of landed on. Like it's uplifting, but not too much. But it's definitely a little out of character for us. Now, whether he has heard Total Eclipse of the Heart, I don't even think he's ever heard it, to be bluntly honest with you. But I can kind of get the vibe. It almost has an 80s kind of 80s solo vibe, early 80s, of course. So
Yeah, I'm over here scratching my head trying to say, okay, they were a total eclipse, but then it gets dissident. What does that mean with I'm trying to figure out.
so
Have you seen
that's
any recent cult documentaries that have made you go, "Pow"?
yes. Holy shit. The numbers gang in
Write
South
that down.
Africa.
Write that down.
Yeah.
We always write these down because we want
There's
to
a
see them all.
Ross Kemp on gangs. It's a British documentary from like 20 years ago called The Numbers Gang. It's about prison gangs in South Africa and how they started. It's totally terrifying. And then there was one I literally watched last night called Sugar Cane about the residential schools and that fucking horrific story of the Catholic Church essentially killing children. Over 200 at one in one. I think it's St. Charles Catholic. They used to take the American Indian children from like 1890 to I don't know 1990 and put them in basically reform schools that would quote unquote westernize them. And then they found basically a mass grave and uncovered this horrific abuse by the Catholic Church and by the powers that be, and that one's called Sugarcane. That's that that deserves a look at the tragedy and the utter again Catholicism and abuse.
What was the one
So
you
there
had
you
to
go.
recommend?
That was the love has won.
Love-
Love has won.
Have you seen that
That's
one?
pretty nutty.
Love Has Won.
God, I don't know. I just watched that Mormon one too. That
All the Mormon ones are dark as shit. Yeah.
And that Twin
all
Flames
right.
one was crazy.
Twin Flame.
Yeah, that Twin
crazy.
Flames one is crazy. I will watch that. Love Has Won.
Yeah, Love Is One. It's worth watching. Yeah.
It's about a woman who decides that she is God.
Yeah.
And pretty much all she does all day is drugs and drink and with this bunch of commune, but she's God and they have all these followers and they do videos.
And the more she drinks and drugs, the more her followers say she's channeling all the problems of the world. That's why she needs to be inebriated all the time. But it's just like this endless cycle, and they all live together in this house, and yeah, it's a good one.
I'm listening.
It's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one.
The one it's called Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Frank. That's some like Mormon mom influencer, like YouTube personality. It gets dark. So yeah, there's no shortage of darkness, and particularly cult and religious.
So in thanks and praises, how did that banjo player and cocaine section come about? Was it like a result of a jam or a spontaneous improvisation? When you guys like go blah, 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 and everything's everywhere, and then you go back to the other segment, and then it's like back to the kind of banjo-ish.
Give Thanks and Praises is a cover by Bad Brains. On a record they did that the guy from the Beastie Boys, I believe his name was MCA, the one who passed away, he produced, and apparently the record making it, like, HR was never there or something. I don't know the story behind the record, but it's like a deep cut even for Bad Brains that I don't even think his song is streaming. You have to go to like YouTube, or you have to own the record to find it. It's not streaming on platforms. Um, but that's, again, the drummer Dion was just like, listen to this song, and we're like, that's fascinating. We're gonna cover it. Like, it's, it was like, 'cause it's like, it's only two parts, but they're done subtly different every time. And the vocals are just like, I don't know, singing underwater through delay or
Yeah.
something. And so that's just kind of our nod to the Bad Brains. We all collectively love them, and no one else would write a song like that than them. It's, it's just odd, and that's just speaks to their genius.
So I want to
Uh,
ask you, fire and brimstone. So
is my jam.
yeah, there's a lyric, dance all you want tomorrow. Today we'll really sin. And what's behind that lyric?
That's like kind of a narrative song about going to Christian schools, which I definitely went to Christian schools. you know I went to Christian schools during puberty, and so it's just like the shame it teaches you that, like, uh but again, like, it's just kind of a narrative song. Again, I did not mean for this album to have every single goddamn song about that. I did not mean to do that at all. It was just, but then again, I mean, you could say the same about, like, the first three Danzig records. They're all in that kind of vein too. So, I'm definitely not reinventing the wheel or anything. It's just rock and roll goes good with the about sinning, and the guilt, the Christian guilt and the Catholic guilt. But that's kind of what I meant about it. It was kind of a narrative of going to Christian schools. Uh, you know, I live in California, so it's always like this Calvary Chapel and this kind of fucking toxic positivity. Just give us 20% of your income, and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the
exactly.
the the kind of the grift it is. But when you're young, your brain is soft and you're falling for it. Even though I sensed it was bullshit then, even when I was like 8 years old, I'm like, this doesn't sound right.
So
Yeah.
I noticed the lyrics in the tower felt different right away. So, and that was, figured out it was a super chunk cover a little bit after that. What attracted you to that? That's such a dark song. I love it though. But the woman who climbs the tower and shoots imaginary guys, it's kind of like good Me Too fodder.
That, and he has that kind of thing too, where he's like, these people just ain't right. I serve them, I listen to their shit. So it's like just being like a, I don't know, a waiter or waitress or a server, to be
Roman Republic.
ambiguous,
Yeah.
and of the fucking grind of just despising humanity when you do that for long enough. Especially, I mean, 90% of the people can be cool, and it's the 10% that'll just ruin it for the rest of them. But I thought that song was super cool, and it didn't even intend to be on an album. It was just a part of a bunch of covers that we recorded, and we're like, I think it, like, it's, if you listen to 16, there's really a faint chance that you listen to Superchunk. So I think that, I think we benefit from the association, not the other way around. But I just thought it was a solid song, man, that needed, like, lyrically, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Got the riffs. I just like it. So I no apologies. I'm just throwing shit on records that I didn't write, but whatever. But
Well,
Spotify ain't paying me anyway, so who cares?
they're not paying anybody. Yeah.
Exactly.
So kick out the chair made me immediately think of Shawshank Redemption. That's like writing a song called "There's a Shotgun in My Mouth." I mean, is that really about what I think it's about, or what? I mean,
Was it like is that Rollins fan? It's like Gun and Mouth Blues.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, it it's kind of, like, live on the thin ice is almost like living with financial instability. Uh, So that was the kind of metaphor I was going to. And then of course it just kind of, it's a long song. And the second verse kind of tells that little story of, what are you going to do? You're going to fall through the ice, or are you just going to kick out the chair? And I thought it was, I thought it was a cool metaphor instead of, calling a song the noose, or something, you know, but it's more about just living on the thin ice and doing battle on the thin ice. So it's not really a suicide, Ozzy Osbourne suicide solution
Yeah,
song or
yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
That was just that. In fact, that was where we actually took a cool line from the song and named it, when we could have, I don't know, called it the thin ice or something. It was,
Right.
I thought that was just a striking title.
It's good. It gets your attention. I love the intro and the outro on that one. Of course, me always trying to find Easter eggs. I was like, that flowy beginning has like that hum through it, and the outro, the hum stops, and I'm like, I don't think that means anything good.
Oh, it means that we either forgot to do it at the end, or someone in the moment made the creative call. Everything is just kind of, I like creativity by accident.
Yeah, kind of like signal for me. Okay, that was the end, of hope. It died right there. So it was good, really
Yeah.
good. Where did you shoot the video for Proudly Damned? We were arguing. He's in logistics, so he said it was a container. I'm like, no, I think it's a little studio.
It looked like you were inside an ocean container to me, but
Oh, I wish. No, it's an art gallery and event space, in LA that, Barney, the bass player, was friends with, one of the artists who runs it. It's called the
Okay.
Moon Hut, and it's, basically a World War II era, little barrack that are half circle,
Ah,
made out
okay.
of, corrugated steel.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a cool place in LA that they have events. And we had the in because he knew the guy that owned it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's everything with us is like that.
Yeah.
I loved the woman with the bad teeth and the priestess headdress. And what are they doing to that head?
I don't know. I wasn't there for it. Um, I paid for it, but no. Uh, that was just literally like just, the director Carlos, sent me the concept, filmed us, and he was the man with the plan. And he, outsourced the makeup, to one of his friends who does quite a bit of that. I think it's Art or something like that. And she's really good. And they did a great job on our video, uh, right on time, like a day before it was released. So that's how everything is.
I really like the kind of schizophrenic thing when you have kind of the two voices going as she lays down beside you. You're not push a witch away, and then it kind of keeps going back and forth. Is that kind of like like an internal argument?
Um, no, like when you guys are a married couple.
Yeah.
So, guys, when you get in like a weird fight that has no resolution, and then you go to bed mad at each other, and just that vibe that is just ugh. I was trying to just convey that. But
Yeah.
again, that's kind of like the ick you feel yourself for either like relapsing. So the witch is the metaphor, but I've been married for like 25 years or something, or 20 years, I don't know, a long time. And I kind of wanted to convey that, like, not that I'm calling anyone a witch, okay? No one is called a witch. That is
Very
metaphorical for
important
drug
disclaimer.
abuse.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
just I thought that was the kind of cool line that, and then using drugs as that metaphor too. It's like, here comes the bad vibes laying in bed with you. You can either embrace or push them away.
You want to do our game?
Yeah. All right. So we play a game on the show. It's called Blaspheming Monikers. Okay. And here's how it works. I have 5 band names in front of me. One of them is fake. So we're gonna see if you can guess which one is not a real band. Okay. Okay. 1, Gaping Grave. 2, Flooded Grave. 3, Emily's Grave. 4 Boreal Grave, and 5 Amazing Grave. Which one sounds fake?
To be honest with you, none of those. And I guarantee you that if you looked, Borealis grave,
They're real. They're deathcore from
Italy.
Finland.
Ah,
Finland. They have 1 full length and 5 singles. So no, they're real. So that leaves Gaping Grave, Flooded Grave, Emily's Grave, and Amazing Grave.
someone has definitely taken Amazing Grave. Emily's Grave sounds like a rock band that does Jane's Addiction covers. What was the other one? What was the other one?
Gaping Grave and Flooded Grave.
I'm gonna go with Gaping Grave, even though I know it's like a porno grind band. But let's go with Gaping Grave.
They're Canadian and they have 1 EP.
Of course they are.
They're thrash from Ottawa. So
Of course they are. All right.
no, the one
So,
I made up was Emily's Grave, actually. So
oh,
yeah.
well, you just made up a band that's gonna start any
I have a
time
knack
now.
for making up band names that would look good on a patch. Like I've been told that. Yeah, they don't have to be real, but the patch would look great.
I think Skank Fragment was yours.
Skank Fragment is my best achievement. Yes.
Skank Fragment.
Yeah.
Are
Fragment.
they like
It's got to be a female singer.
Screamo ska?
Yeah, got to be a female singer. We are Skank Fragment. Yeah. Kind of garage punk vibe. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Emily's Grave, like that's like Emily Dickinson. I mean, that's just a band name waiting to happen.
I know. It's got almost like a King Diamond vibe about it. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it. It's great.
Definitely gothic.
Yeah.
I think I stole it. I just started that band. Don't
It's
worry
all
about
yours.
it.
It's all yours.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Just registered it.
So you guys recently had a European tour. Did you include any songs from Guides in this Misguided?
Oh, hell yeah! I don't write them for nothing. We don't work with say we don't write them for nothing. Yeah, we played like 3 or 4 new songs. They went over good. They're fresh in everyone's ears, hopefully. But yeah, we played like 3 or 4 songs every single night.
That's great.
Awesome.
That's great to be in that position because I watched this interview with Dee Snider and he goes, the worst thing you want to say is this is a new one because you just see everyone heading for the restroom as soon as you say that.
Yeah,
And I'm
but
thinking,
that's
well,
if you have a band with hits. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to think each of our records is better, and that's bringing them in. Not the record from 20 years ago really isn't bringing them in too much.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
you're right. You're right.
I
at
would
least
say
you're-
like if you have the lyrics tattooed on your body, I'll play that song. And
Okay.
that happens every once in a while. It's like, yes, I will play that song.
Yeah.
So after all these years in music, what's the strangest or most ridiculous Spinal Tap moment that you've ever had on tour?
It could like, I mean, every tour has several that are just hilarious. And you keep, I mean, you got to notice like how special it is to be on tour and just surviving. But like the euphoria of it. But I mean, this could literally be like its own podcast. We've had just so many hilarious from like, buying weed from a promoter kid who disappeared, and then we all went over to his house and took the money back from him in front of his parents. That's just one, and that was like probably in the 90s. There's sleeping in squats, there's throwing up in vans, there's having cops search you, there's cops in France, there's staying with a promoter in France who got way too drunk and we kicked him out of his own house. I mean, there's just, this past one, they were all parking related, but they were hilarious, of just German people just telling us, no, you cannot park here. There's just any kind of traveling is, especially on tour, if you do it every single day, you're doing like, between 4 and 10-hour drives each day, you're just by the odds of putting yourself in that many positions. I mean, there's been so many that, at least now there's a certain amount of comfort that can be had. It's not like, hey, you got 8 hours to kill. Why don't you just take a nap on a bench in a park in some foreign city? It's more like now we can actually, get a hotel or a hostel or go out to lunch. So I got no complaints recently, but they were all parking related. There's the relative like kind of bad shows. Like a few years ago, we played like a Wednesday night. I won't say like the city, but it ended up being like a high school party basically,
Yeah.
and like with high school bands, and then like the PA was like a karaoke machine, and it was like in a Moroccan restaurant, and like it was just like hilarious. And at that point I was just saying like a bad show just turns into performance art. Like I'm just gonna we're gonna play our songs at full volume, like we're playing a packed show to, not horrified diners. And then the minute we're done playing, they've started blasting Creed arms wide
Yeah.
open when we were playing, or when we're
Right.
done playing. And it was just like, okay, this is just how is this not performance art?
Yeah.
So literally, we've been doing it a long time, so we all got tons of hilarious stories, and that could probably be its own podcast.
Get it.
What up
Yeah.
next for you guys? More tour,
Yeah,
more
exactly.
music,
Yeah.
more surprises, maybe Baltimore, because that's where we're from.
Yeah.
I just kind of say yes to most things that come across us. And that's the MO thus far. There's always more music with us. We have music. We have tons of new music. We almost have more music than the world needs from us. So there's definitely recordings that are kind of ready to go. There's some offers, some good ones. And then we're always playing local shows. We're always kind of out there in Southern California, which, they say as a touring band you shouldn't do, but it's like, I'm not staying home on that night. So let's just go to a show and play it if we're all gonna be there. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I
Why
don't really
wouldn't
give
you?
a shit.
Yeah.
I don't really give a
Yeah.
shit about the business angle of that and whether people see us too much in this town or don't care or care. I don't really, it's not about them, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm sure something always lands on our desk, so to speak. And we'll say yes and we'll go do it like we always do.
Yeah, I could definitely lure you out here to Maryland Doomfest. That's a fun 3 days.
Yeah. Well, I guess
Yeah.
that sort of the same comparison would be like, because we're from Maryland, Clutch is always playing around here. So you're never going to not go see Clutch because, oh, well, they're local. No, they're not. Give me a break. They've transcended that, please.
They
I
just
don't
did
think we've
Glass
transcended that. San Diego is a pretty tough town. Like a lot of people just,
Yeah.
San Diego's like LA or New York City. There's like a lot better things going on every night. Like it's pretty stiff competition here by this paradise by the sea.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
but then again, we're playing live anyways. I don't really care.
Yeah.
We'll play a goddamn Moroccan restaurant on a Wednesday night to a high school party. It got overrun by like the how do I say it? The unhoused people all came in without paying.
Oh,
So
okay.
it all worked out for a good time.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.